Welcome to Canadian Justice. I'm Christine Van Gyn, and today we're discussing the independent inquiry into the federal government's use of the Emergencies Act. My organization, the Canadian Constitution Foundation, is fighting the government over this law in federal court, and we're also participating in that public inquiry. The inquiry is also known as the Rouleau Commission, and it's chaired by an independent, nonpartisan, and respected judge from the Ontario Court of Appeal. It's staffed by nonpartisan and experienced lawyers. The Rouleau Commission is now accepting comments from the public about the protests and the government's response. So that means that you can send in a comment to the inquiry, and your comment may be quoted in the hearings or in the Commission's final report. So it is imperative that the Commission hear from members of the public to understand the full impact of the Federal Emergencies Act on this country's citizens. Today, I'm going to talk to Russell Phillips, the Communications Director from the Canadian Constitution Foundation, about how to send in a comment. We'll give you style suggestions, the background facts you need to know, and some key messages and questions you may want to consider answering. And of course, the technical details of how and when to send in a submission. Russ, thank you so much for joining us today. It's so good to see you in this context. We talk all the time, but not always on the show. So thanks for joining. Let's start by, why don't you tell us who can send in a public comment to the Emergencies Act inquiry? Does it need to be someone who participated in the protests of the Freedom Convoy or someone who was directly observing or affected by it? Who can send it in?
Well, they're looking for public comment from all the public, including people that were directly involved in it, were directly affected by it, or had something they think that the inquiry needs to know.
So who should people address their comment to, and where exactly do they send it if they want to send one in?
So it should be addressed to the Public Order Emergency Commission, and they can send it to an email address or they can send it by mail. The email address is kind of a mouthful, but it's perspectives@poec-cedu.gc.ca, which we have, of course, on the website, on the ccf.ca's main website. You can get that email as well as the mailing address that people can send to if they want to write a letter.
Yeah, these emails are always so terrible. The structure for the emails is so brutal. Now, if someone wants to send in a comment, that's how they address it. That's where they send it. But what's your number one piece of style advice when sending in a comment?
The biggest thing is be civil. Try to come off as reasonable and that thoughtful. The issue has raised a lot of emotions with different people in different ways. But the biggest thing is that in order to be taken seriously, it's important that you come off polite and proper.
Yeah, of course. We want these public comments to matter, and it's so easy to dismiss a letter that's sent in to an independent and nonpartisan inquiry if it's full of partisan language, if it's full of profanity. And look, I get it. I know that people are really angry. I am also angry about the federal government's use of the Emergencies Act because I think it was illegal and it was unconstitutional. That is why we have channeled that anger that we have in our organization into this legal challenge. But how do people channel their anger if they're upset about the use of the Emergencies Act? How do they channel it into a public comment? What would your advice be?
Well, there's nothing wrong with having an explanation of the emotions that you feel, as long as it's done in a calm way. So, like you said, you mentioned partisanship. That don't start off getting angry about Trudeau because this will not be sent to the government, right?
Yeah, this is not going to the government. It's going to an independent, nonpartisan inquiry. It's not being addressed to the Prime Minister. And frankly, this issue is so much bigger than individual politicians. 30 seconds in this segment. Why do these public comments matter? How might they be used by the inquiry?
Well, they matter because people that are involved in this commission are, there's groups that have a standing. There's lawyers and people that are involved in the government, a judge. it's important for the commission to get opinions from all parts of Canadian society, including people that were involved in it or directly affected by it.
Absolutely. When we come back from this commercial break, we're going to talk about some of the content that people can consider including in their comments. We'll be right back.